because I want you, together with me, to look at this question of miracles and this question of the gift of faith and of healing. I want you to look at it with me in a very practical sense. Because, yes, these miracles will come, but it's not always easy to see. And really what I'm going to try to do is show you how you yourself can receive power through faith to see miracles happen. So let's have a look at what happened. Well, immediately, Jesus in verse 17 is looking not only at the disciples, but at the others in the multitude, because he rebukes them and he says, "Faithless, perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring the boy to me." So at this stage, this is before his death, before his resurrection, it's before Pentecost, Jesus is actually rebuking his disciples and calls them a faithless and perverse generation. So he's not only looking at the 9, well, if you want, that's now the 12 disciples down there. He's rebuking, in effect, the whole Jewish generation. That's what he says. He says, "You are a faithless and perverse generation." And I want to challenge the church today. And I'm beginning to say, look, because we need the evidence of the miraculous in the church, and I'm going to deal with this over a period of time, is the challenge of God to the very church today to say that the generation that we're in now, there is no revival, there is no move of the Spirit of God. And would Jesus, if he were to come now, literally rebuke us and say, "You are a faithless and a perverse generation"? Now, this is a challenge to us. I face it as a challenge. And I'm asking you the question, is Jesus actually saying that to us today? And if we're looking at the question of faith, and if we're looking at the ministry of the miraculous, and I speak from experience, I mean, I don't have to justify my position. I don't think there's a living man who has seen so many miracles of such a diverse sense, from calming of storms to actually now the raising of the dead. We've now seen that happen recently, and the outstanding, incredible miracles. And after all, the miracles that I've experienced are very unusual in the fact that with my throat cancer, people don't understand is it did not go away. The doctors actually said to me, the hand of God has cut that cancer out and left the mark. You see, I'm talking about miracles. So, what did Jesus do? He said, "Bring the boy to me." And in verse 18, Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured. Right. That's what you expect. Now, that's what we expect. That's what Jesus did. The boy was healed. But then in the next verse, verse 19, the disciples pulled Jesus away. It says they took him apart because they didn't want anybody else to hear what they're saying. And when they took Jesus on one side, and you know, there has to come a time in your life and mine when we get aside with Jesus. I have to do it. Why do you think I go to the mountain to pray? Why do you think I go so often? Why I'm so concerned and have all my life been concerned about getting away alone with the Lord? Because there are times when you and I have to ask him some searching questions. And I'm going to challenge that some of you that are listening to me now, that maybe you've got to ask this question. because they said, why couldn't we do it? Very blunt. And some things I like about the Bible, it's blunt and it's straight. And you'll find that with Jesus. No long sermons here. The disciples simply said, look, we couldn't do it. Why? And there comes a time, even in my life, when I'm facing challenges so great that I actually have to say to the Lord, why can't I do it? And I'm challenging some of you who are seeking more faith and possibly who are seeking to pray with the sick and see miracles. When it doesn't happen, ask the question. Get alone with Jesus. Come on, wherever your place is that you go in prayer. And if you haven't got somewhere where you get alone with the Lord in prayer, it's time you did. I have to laugh because I was just watching a program recently on TV, and it was talking about, it's the women say, and what they call it is a man cave. In the marriage, the place that the husband has outside the house or in the house where he's on his own and nobody goes in there. And the colloquial name is man cave. But sometimes we need that equivalent with God. The Bible speaks about going into the closet. Now, to us, a closet is a clothes cupboard. But you have to understand language. It really means simply somewhere where you're alone. Call it a man cave or a God cave or whatever. And so, in that moment when they were alone, they said, why couldn't we work this miracle? Well, in verse 20, Jesus is very straight in his answer. And I want you to actually look at verse 20. And Jesus said to them, behold, because of your unbelief. Now, that's a straightforward answer, but he's rebuked them as a faithless and perverse generation. And then after that rebuke, when they say, why couldn't we do it? Jesus says, because you are part of that faithless and perverse generation. Because of your unbelief. For truly I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you speak to this mountain. Now, it may well be because we're at the foot of this Mount of Transfiguration, and having been to the Holy Land so many times, I'm still not quite certain whether tradition has got the right place. That doesn't matter. After all, I've never even been up that mountain because I meet Jesus elsewhere. But the fact is this. If you've got faith as a grain of mustard seed, and the mustard seed is the smallest seed, you will say to this mountain, remove from here over to there. I'm translating literally. You will command the mountain to move, and it will remove, and nothing shall be impossible.